It's April 22nd, and the strange side of history awaits. Today, we have a corpse that they refused to let rest, a weapon that changed warfare forever, and an explosion they tried to hide from the world. Let's begin. On April 22nd, 1977, a man who had been dead for 66 years was finally buried. His name was Elmer McCurdy, a failed outlaw who died in 1911 just after a botched train robbery that earned him only $46. He was shot dead in a barn in Oklahoma, and no one came to claim his body. So the undertaker did something strange. He preserved him with arsenic and began charging people a nickel to see the bandit who wouldn't give up. That was only the beginning. Years later, carnival promoters stole the body, and for decades, McCurdy kept traveling from sideshow to crime exhibits to haunted attractions. His skin hardened, his body shrank, and eventually people forgot he had ever been human. By the 1970s, he was painted bright colors and hung inside a funhouse in Long Beach, California, just another prop, until one day in 1976, a film crew moved him and his arm snapped off. Beneath the paint was real bone, and the truth quickly unraveled. A coroner found a bullet still lodged inside him, along with old coins and ticket stub hidden in his mouth. After 66 years of being on display, touched, and forgotten, the real Elmer McCurdy was finally identified, and on April 22nd, 1977, he was buried in Oklahoma. When they buried him, they made sure he would never travel again. They sealed his grave under 2 feet of concrete. On April 22, 1915, the air itself became the enemy. Late in the afternoon, along a quiet stretch of the Western Front, soldiers noticed something strange, a yellow-green cloud rising on the horizon, slow and unnaturally drifting towards them. At exactly 5 p.m., German forces released over 100 tons of chlorine gas across the battlefield. It rolled forward like fog, and men didn't understand what they were seeing. Then came the choking. The gas filled their lungs, turning moisture into acid. Eyes burned and throats closed. They clawed at their own faces, gasping for air that was no longer safe to breathe. Within minutes, thousands were down, and entire units broke and ran, leaving behind massive gaps in the Allied lines. For a moment, it looked like the war could end right there. But through the chaos, some soldiers stayed. Canadian and British troops rushed forward into the poisoned air, holding a line with no real protection. In desperation, they pressed cloths to their face, soaked in urine, anything to survive a weapon no one had prepared for. From that moment on, soldiers no longer feared just bullets. They feared the air itself. On April 22, 2004, a quiet railway station in North Korea became a center of a mystery that still hasn't been fully explained. Hours earlier, Kim Jong had passed through the region on his heavily guarded train, returning from China along a route so predictable anyone watching would have known exactly where he would be. Then, just after noon, it happened. A massive explosion tore through Ryongchon station. The blast was so powerful, it erased the station in seconds. Tracks twisted and buildings collapsed. Homes within a kilometer were shattered as if it was struck by an invisible force. Some thought it was war, and others believed it was a nuclear attack. Hundreds were killed and thousands injured. Children in a nearby school were even caught in the devastation. The most unsettling detail wasn't the destruction, it was the timing. The explosion was powerful enough to destroy the very train that passed through that same station earlier that day. Official explanations never settled on a truth, blamed chemicals, others pointed to electrical faults, but something darker began to spread, an assassination attempt. In the days that followed, information disappeared, reports were delayed, and foreign aid was limited, and the country grew quieter and more controlled. To this day, no one can be certain what caused the explosion. The explosion was real, but the truth may never be. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.